Ghouls Film Review. I am your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi guys.
And tonight we'll be reviewing that ever so popular and ever so cool Alligator, the 1980 movie.
Yeah, the monster horror film.
Yeah.
Now, this was directed by Lewis Teague, written by John Sayles. Now, while I've got the microphone here, the budget was 1.8 million back in those days, I think, and the box office did about 6.5. So it had a reasonably good return on its money, and reasonably popular in its day.
Yeah, before we move on, I like to point out to audience members that we're not going to troll this movie to death either.
It's not a great movie by today's standards, but I think it's a good movie for its period.
Yeah, I know. I say this a lot, and I say it again as often as I can. We're not here to troll this movie. We're here to find something worth good about it.
Yeah. I mean, every movie has got some good qualities. There's going to be the odd one movie, which we probably won't review because it's so too bad to watch, but it's going to be the odd movie which is really, 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 really bad, so we won't even bother reviewing it because we don't want to troll it. How's that? Good? Yes, okay.
Yeah, so,
I like that.
So who's directed this movie,
well,
Mike?
I said that already.
Oh, yeah, so who stars in it?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Sarah. Robert Forster plays David Madison, who's a police officer.
Yes, and he loses a lot of hair in this one.
Well, I think he's had an operation before the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, during the movie, yeah.
So they make a comment about his hair occasionally. That's because he had an operation, I think. Anyway, irrespective, he plays David Madison, a police detective who has got a bad record of losing partners.
And a bad case of getting a lot of jokes thrown at him about his hair.
Yeah, bad hair day and everything. Anyway, now Robin Riker plays Marissa Kendall. She's a scientist type lady, isn't she?
Yeah, scientist.
Who knows about reptiles.
Yeah,
and,
alligators, snakes,
and
anything.
And all the creepy crawly lizard type things. Yeah,
yes.
And froggies and stuff, yeah. Reptilian person. Now, anyway, irrespective, let's move on. Michael Gazzo is Chief Clark.
Not Clark Kent.
Not Clark Kent. But he plays an interesting role.
Yeah.
He's okay.
He's a very grumpy chief in this.
Yeah. Now, for all you old film buffs, Dean Jagger is playing the nasty, horrible rich guy who's creating all the problems.
Yeah. He's the mustache tickling, cat patting baddie guy.
Like Blofeld in James Bond movies.
Exactly.
And so. He's a nasty guy. He's rich, thinks he can buy everybody.
Rich idiot.
Wait a minute. Keep going. And Jack Carter plays the mayor. Whoopee. There you go.
Yeah. He doesn't have a name, does he? His character, I mean.
Well, he plays a mayor. He doesn't even get a role. But I thought I'd throw him in because he has got a bit of a role in the movie.
He acts all nasty and bitchy to the chief and the policeman about, if you guys don't do a good job, it makes me look bad.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
That type of attitude, sort of like...
Yeah, something like that. And he uses his position to try to control the police and stuff. Things like that.
Yeah,
so, anyway. Now, just before we start, this is quite funny, a bit of trivia.
Okay.
The synopsis overview of the movie says it's set in Chicago. Well, that's fine. It was filmed in Los Angeles. So,
Shocker.
there are a few things like that. But anyway, irrespective, let us proceed on. Do you want to tell the story, my dear?
Yes, I will.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah, so it takes place in sort of a alligator farm place, I think it was.
Yeah, down south probably.
Yeah, somewhere there. And it's a demonstration of some professionals trying to wrestle alligators.
I think I'm down in Florida somewhere, yeah.
Yes, and of course it doesn't end well with one of the demonstrators. He ends up getting bitten and nearly
chewed up a little bit by the alligator. He thought he was morning tea,
Yeah, and a younger, what's her name?
The lady.
Yeah.
The the role, this lady, Marissa Kendall, who's a scientist, when she was a child, she was at this alligator farm.
Yeah, so she was at it, and she was telling her mum, if they roll the alligator over, it may fall asleep. Which I haven't figured out if that works or not, but it may just
I believe it does, actually. Things like that, it sort of puts them into a bit of a daze. Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so anyway, the alligator wins, the man loses, he's pulled away, and we see Kendall go and buy a little baby alligator from the alligator farm.
A cute one.
Yeah, and she names it Ramone.
Now, that's interesting. That name gets used once or twice in this movie and in the sequel as well, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
Ramone. It must be a favourite name of somebody over there.
Maybe one of the directors or screenwriters' favourite wrestler or fighter or boxer is named Ramone.
Well, one of my favourite bands back in the old days was the Ramones.
Well, there could be that too. So anyway, she takes time to back to Chicago, I think. I'm not sure. And she makes the Ramone alligator feel comfortable in his fish
tank type thing. Yeah, he has little things there, and feeding him little bits of goodies and stuff, whatever baby alligators do.
And I don't know how long later, but we hear her father and mother arguing, and I'm guessing the father is not too pleased with the idea of having a baby alligator in their home.
Well, that's his problem, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, he
has an animal phobia. He had an animal phobia or something rather.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, he grabs Ramone and he takes him to the toilet and gives him a burial at sea. His words, not mine.
Well, why not?
So he flushes it, and Ramone is flushed down to the toilet through the piping, and that's where he lives there for the next, say, 10 or 20 years.
He grows. She's a kid. She's about, let's say she's 10 or 12. Now she's a scientist. So let's say she's in university. She's got to be in her mid-20s to 30 around. So probably, let's say 15 years later.
Yeah, so
he's grown up.
So many years later, a policeman is making investigations on disappearances of animals, and other bits and pieces have been turning up.
Now we find the odd foot hanging around in the sewage treatment works.
Yeah, they somehow find some of that. Anyway, they find out one of the animals is that they've discovered that the owner found out is a few sizes bigger than it usually was.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a little terrier or a little poodly type dog. Yeah. He's about the size of a Great Dane.
Now that's a bit impossible, but it doesn't take too long for him to go to a special company who does develop in pharmaceutical stuff.
Hormonal sort of stuff,
and they said they experiment with dogs, and they usually cremate them or buy them at a pound.
Supposedly they buy them at a pound, and when they're finished experimenting, they take them back to the pound for cremation. Well, that wasn't necessarily the case, because they were being stolen off the street by the local pet shop
somehow a local pet shop guy is buying or stealing dogs off the street and giving it to this company and making a cheap
selling them to the company. He wouldn't do it for free.
No, he's sort of on the payroll.
But when they're finished with it, he disposes of the bodies by throwing them into the sewer.
Yes.
Well, like alligators got to eat something, hey?
Yeah, so he throws them in there, and the next thing we know is he gets attacked by, who? Ramone, the alligator.
Well, he wants something different. He's sick of eating dog.
Yeah, and somehow Ramone is like 10 times like an ordinary size alligator. No, not.
Oh yeah, he's something like about 30 foot long or something. 30 feet long, I think. Was that right?
Yeah, and we took some.
Humongous.
Yeah, while we were cross-examining our facts, we were trying to figure out how old alligators can live in outside captivity.
Well, normally I think they said in the internet that's about 30 to 50 years, but they've been up to 80 to 100 years in giving idyllic situation for them if they're not threatened or poached or got disease and stuff. So, yeah, they can live as long as a human being.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought,
given the right care and the right food.
Yeah. So anyway, our policeman discovers the remains of the dead person, and he tries to go down the sewer to get a close examination, but he has a hard time getting any one of the policemen to come along and do an exam with him.
Yeah, because he had previously before this movie started, had been at another police station, was it? And he had a partner,
another partner.
and they got into a situation where his partner got killed.
Yeah, sure.
And they sort of blame him because the criminal took his gun or something or other,
yeah,
wasn't it?
And a lot of people just don't want to work with him.
Because they think he's bad luck.
Or something like that.
Occupational hazard. You've got bullets flying all over the place. Someone's going to die if you're a policeman or you're in the army or something or other. That's what it is.
So occupational hazard. So he ends up teaming up with a rookie, I think, a lost officer.
Yeah, young guy.
Yeah, and they go down to the sewer, and after a few minor jump scares,
for the old croc or alligator,
with each other, the young cop trying to play a few jokes here and there,
pinching his bum and stuff,
or just tapping on the shoulder unexpectedly, saying "boo."
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be playing hide and seek down there looking for a big alligator.
Yeah. Anyway, they just stumble across the alligator, run, and young rookie officer gets nipped off.
Yeah, morning tea time.
Yes.
He looked like a donut. Well, he's full of donuts. He's a policeman. There you go, full of donuts.
Yeah, and the next shot, we fade out and fade in on our policeman in a hospital.
Yeah.
And
he came out of the sewer supposedly in a bit of a state of shock. Yeah,
and ranting and raving about an alligator.
Hey, so here it is. Hang on. The alligator had grown to 36 feet long, which is about 11 metres for those who are working in metric. That's a damn big alligator. Yeah. They grow to about half that size.
Yeah, so anyway, his chief guy and this horrible reporter come into the hospital and try to get his side of the story, even though the reporter is actually a nasty guy.
Yeah, he's a sensationalist and he wants to pick on the police guy.
Yeah, trying to make out that he's lost another partner and there must be a connection, like maybe he killed him or something.
Or maybe not a very good policeman, or whatever. Yeah, he's picking on him, which isn't nice. But don't worry, he gets his later, or very soon actually.
Yeah, and of course the chief doesn't believe our detective that it is a giant alligator in the sewer, and they decide to consult the expert, or the local expert in the area.
This local girl who was a local expert who started the problem in the first place by buying an alligator in Florida and bringing it home. Well,
yes.
It goes around, don't it, folks?
Yes, so she tells them that there's no way a little baby alligator could survive in the sewer that long because
it would die of starvation or something or other.
And the atmosphere would not be healthy for it.
It'd be toxic, poor little thing.
Anyway, she doesn't believe them, so she just scoffs and says that maybe the person may have died of something else.
Yeah, boy, was she wrong.
Yes, so anyway, let me see what it
Anyway.
happens. Yes, so
a few minutes later.
Yeah, soon enough, our reporter guy, he writes a nasty story about the detective guy, and then he heads off down to the sewer.
To have a look around for himself, see if he can find the little lizardy alligator thing.
Yeah, he sees a few remains of the dogs, and probably a homeless man's supermarket carriage, I think.
It's a trolley from a supermarket down there and a few things. Yeah. It could have been the things that might have belonged to a homeless person. We didn't get a really, really good look at it, so we're only presuming.
Yeah. Yes. They also said before in this movie that they said there were claims that sewage workers that were down there were killed in there.
Or gone missing. Yeah, and you find the odd leg floating in the sewage treatment area.
Yeah,
that sort
so
of stuff.
Anyway, our reporter does encounter this alligator and he gets
chewed up. But while he's being chewed up and attacked, his camera's going off and taking multiple photographs. Snap. Lucky he's flash on, hey?
Yeah, lucky. I would have thought that would have annoyed the alligator. Maybe it
probably did. That's why I ate him. Yeah. Stop taking my photograph, paparazzi. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, the alligator snaps at our reporter, and the very next day, or maybe.
Well, next day, whatever.
Next scene, we see our policeman finding his camera and finding the photos. And you know what the chief says? Oh, there's a rat. He doesn't even realize that there's not just a rat. There's a big, giant crocodile coming straight at the camera.
Yeah. Police chief's a bit Well, you know.
They don't teach them tolerance or not any
He's
or
not,
paying attention.
he's not the sharpest chisel in the wood, the toolkit, guys.
Yeah, so they finally believe him, and they figured that they still don't believe that this is a giant alligator. They think it's a normal size alligator.
Yeah. Just a
Yes.
close up. You want a close up? Here's a close up. I'm really close on my microphone, but
Yes.
can you see me?
Ooh. So anyway, they tried to do a full on, SWAT team type.
Oh, yeah, to try and flush it
to
out.
flush out the
Actually,
alligator.
digressing here, they go in there to try flush it out. Okay, that's fine, but I remember they did the same thing
Yeah.
in the movie called Them about the giant ants. They never figured that the alligator was in probably a different pipe or a different part of the sewer line. The same as they did the giant ants. They were in another area which hadn't been completed properly, and they went down all the main areas, but not over where the ants were.
Yeah, incidentally, when they did the shot for the SWAT team doing the sewer scene, a lot of people that were actually present thought they were they were terrorists.
Oh yeah, the onlookers,
so
the old
they
rubberneckers.
And so they called the police. This
Is
is in
it-
real life, just
Yeah,
so you know.
you go think. I mean, you got a film crew there, and you got everybody else. You got catering vans down there. Wouldn't you think that someone might be making maybe if they got something like Columbia Bloody Pictures or Universal Pictures?
Yeah,
hung
well,
out?
this is
Yeah,
Los
but
Angeles,
stupid people.
after all.
Yeah, and it's like L.A. Gee, where's Hollywood? Gee, I wonder. Gee,
Yes.
silly people.
Yes, so they tried their flushing and it didn't work out.
Nope.
Yeah,
And
somehow.
everyone's having a giggle at the expense of this poor detective guy.
Yeah, and the poor chief and the mayor who happens to be there thinking if they screw up, it will make me look bad. As I
Yeah,
said before, he was
exactly.
it's all about him,
Me,
him,
me,
me,
yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff, or him.
Typical politician.
Yeah. Anyway, so they walk off and feeling a little bit upset that they lost their prize. Then we see a bunch of boys playing
Baseball
in
the
the
street.
in the next street.
Oh, somewhere.
And
Yeah.
guess who comes for the game?
Straight through the concrete or the pavement,
Pavement.
whatever. Up comes our big.
Big.
I think he was a little bit bigger than he's supposed to be. I mean, that shot was made him look like a busted an alligator. But
Or
anyway.
bigger than a car.
Yeah, you stretch the imagination here when you're doing the proportions. But
Yes.
he looked big coming out, didn't
Yeah,
he?
so he kind of came out of the pavement and he taxed two policemen, I think, or one policeman, I think.
He gobbled him up pretty good,
Yeah,
didn't he?
and the kids run off, and one of the kids who was witness to this describes how big the alligator is in proportion-wise.
Yeah.
And it's, according to him, it's as big as a car if you include the tail.
Well, no, without the tail.
Without the tail.
Yeah, without the tail, yeah. Without the tail,
Yeah.
So from nose to bum.
Yeah, it could be like two cars long.
Because I think a tail's almost the same length as the body. Yeah. So, yeah, you know that. If you got a 6 metre long body, you got a 6 metre long tail, I think. Yeah.
And a 6-foot big problem.
A big guy.
Yeah, so anyway, the alligator soon gets into the canal, I think, and
Here you go swimming.
our heroes try to use grenades and bombs to try to get him out.
Yeah, get him. It didn't work.
But it didn't work, and they guess who they decide to bring in? None other than a guy who knows about alligators, or
What? No, hunting.
Hunting
Yeah,
alligators.
an experienced professional hunter type guy.
How
Wait a minute. His name is Colonel Brock, played by Henry Silver, and he thinks he knows everything. And it said we've got a big alligator. He thinks he was looking at a normal alligator.
yeah. Well, both in this movie and the sequel.
We're not talking about the
remake,
sequel.
Well, I know that, but in the remake, they had some crocodile hunters in that one, and they were just
Yeah, some good old boys from down south or something or other.
We
They
didn't
came
knew
up.
they
yeah.
were facing a giant
Yeah,
alligator,
they said
not
we
a
know
teeny,
how to take care of
not
an
a
alligator.
teeny weeny
Yeah.
alligator.
But no, yeah, and they all got eaten.
Yes. So anyway, our alligator
nice.
guy, he finds the alligator spoil, or whatever they call it.
Sorry, his
know,
stool.
yes.
I didn't know he was sitting down on a stool. Oh no, a poo. Oh, sorry, my mistake.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
And it's like, if you watch the Jurassic Park movie, that will be a run for your money.
Well, yeah, it was a big pile of alligator
Don't say it.
droppings. Ha ha. You thought I was going to say the other word starting with S, didn't you? Yeah.
So
No,
anyway,
wouldn't do that. We might get
yeah.
taken off the air.
Yeah, so while this is happening, while he's hunting for the alligator, our detective is off the case and he's told to go home. But he doesn't go home.
Well,
he
doesn't.
continues his investigation.
He's a very dedicated man.
He continues his investigation with Kendall, and of course they go back to the pharmaceutical company, and they suspect that their hormone formula they were developing that sort of makes animals bigger. And causing the animals to grow a huge appetite.
That's fine. That was he actually the scientist said we had a problem with it. That they got the size happening, but the animals got an insatiable appetite. Well, gee, a hungry alligator who's that big would certainly go for a lot of
meat.
Street people, dogs, cats, anybody else, sewer workers. Yeah, and that's before lunch.
Yes. So anyway, when he got this second visit, the owner, what's his name again?
What's you mean
Slade.
Slade.
He phones up the mayor and tells him to rub the right fingers to tell the detective to back off.
Didn't they suspend him or something?
Yeah,
they suspended him.
Fired him.
Wasn't they suspended him?
Suspended him, I think.
I think they suspended him. So you are suspended. Give us your badge. That sort of stuff. Yeah.
So our chief says, "Okay, you're off the force. You just rubbed too many hands the wrong way."
He might have been sacked. Yeah, he might have been fired. Yeah.
And he told him, "You might as well go." So
have a holiday.
So he packs his meager possessions from his locker but he doesn't give up. He goes to the evidence room, steals some dynamite, and gets ready to do his own hunt.
The security is really good at this police station, hey? You walk in, I'll just take some of this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think it's quite that easy, folks. Don't try it.
No. So anyway, he goes to Kendall, says that he's going to continue his investigation despite his being warned, and despite everything, he's going to still do it. But before he could get down to doing it, he and Kendall start rekindling a bit of a romantic...
Rekindling?
a romance between them. And all that stuff. And
all right. Hey, why do you keep calling me by a last name? Her name's Marissa Kendall.
Marissa, sorry.
You keep calling it Kendall.
Well, some people often call our heroes by their last name.
Like Indiana Jones is not called Jonesy that often, is he?
Yeah, no. So anyway, Kendall is really moved by his niceness and his lack of hair.
He had a sort of rough charm about him, you know.
Yeah, so
he's a real man's man. You know.
Yes. Just so you know.
And she had a weird mother.
Yeah, right. So anyway, just so you guys know, before I can continue on, Robert Forster, is that his name?
Forster.
Yeah. He actually in person, did his own jokes,
about his hair.
Throughout his hair, about his hairline throughout this movie.
Yeah. We think he had an operation on his head.
Yeah.
Don't know whether it's serious or not, but he's okay.
And according to the scriptwriter, he was actually really impressed with his dubbing in his own words, right then?
Well, he might have ad-libbed a little bit.
Ad-libbed a bit. That's the word. Ad-libbed a bit. That's kind of cool. So anyway, our heroes they hang out together. He kind of shuts down a bit in one scene because he realizes that the crocodile hunter gets killed and eaten.
He didn't last long.
Yeah, he had a few local boys help him, but they didn't do very much.
Some street kids,
Says that their followers, like in his alligator hunting days, whatever. If you catch my drift.
I won't go too much into that, but
no, me neither. No. So anyway, Kendall is a little upset that David is shut down because he's a little upset that another man's killed.
Yeah.
But he comes to her house pleading forgiveness and everything.
And then they had sex, and then they went out together going.
Yeah, well, he says it in a little bit more better wording, but it's a bit more funny.
Oh, he's a bit horny.
Yes. And he says...
He's not bad looking either.
Yes. And while he says he's a pain in the ass, but he'll
you said the ass word.
Well,
okay, never mind.
So anyway, he's willing to adjust, change for her and help her get this alligator. if she wants to.
She needs a nice new pair of alligator shoes, an alligator handbag,
Yeah,
and
so anyway, the next morning, I think, they arranged their plans of trying to capture this alligator. And meanwhile, that the guy of
the mean guy, Slade,
is just organizing his daughter's
Is it a wedding?
wedding, I think.
Yeah, it looked like a wedding, yeah.
Who's marrying the head scientist who was doing that formula
the naughty
I told
stuff
you
with
about.
the animals and stuff, and get the guy dropping down the sewer. So it's all come home to roost.
Yes,
Mhm.
and the mayor is there to be part of the wedding party, I think.
And we had a gate crasher,
Yes.
the alligator.
Yes, before they get to that part, the alligator is swimming in the big canal in the river, and they tried to use their speedboats to catch it, but they kind of run into a little problem here and there.
The big alligator.
Yeah, a couple times they tried to shoot at it, but its big tail hits them and ends up letting them drown in the water, things like that.
I'll just digress this minute. This alligator, apart from being huge, has a really tough skin. A bit like it's about as it's supposed to be similar to a prehistoric alligator. I can't remember the names of the prehistoric type alligators. They were big and they were built like armored cars. And you can shoot these things all day. Maybe an elephant gun might get through the hide, but an ordinary gun ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna cut it. A rifle, armor-light rifles, whatever they used back in those days, they would not cut it. Unless you got him under his chin, and in a soft part of his belly, it ain't going to penetrate.
Yes.
They just didn't know, did they?
No, they never thought of that. So anyway, our heroes follow this alligator, and find out that it's heading towards Slate's mansion, where the wedding is taking place.
Yeah.
Yes. And so they're in the backyard having a barbecue, and
everyone's having a nice time.
And the alligator kind of appears and starts attacking the staff and maybe a few of the guest party members. And the following people who get get madder in the scene, who get killed off, are the head scientist guy.
The groom.
Slade gets killed.
I think his intended bride gets killed.
No, actually, I think she lives.
Okay, but her daddy got killed.
Yeah,
Slade gets killed. Great.
And the mayor gets killed.
Actually, the mayor got killed before Slade. Slade locked himself in the car to try and get away from the alligator. The chauffeur was so petrified, he kept looking at the alligator and didn't drive the car. So the alligator had plenty of time to chew up the mayor and then destroy the car. Hello, I would have been out of there at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Same here, Mike.
I would have run over people getting on my way out. I would not have stopped to even look at the alligator.
Yeah, it was really interesting, especially the fact that the alligator kept using its tail and flicking victims around, breaking a few people's bones, maybe breaking a few victims here and there.
Oh, yeah, but it was good fun. It was good fun.
Yeah, but it was always great.
It needed an alligator at every party.
Yeah, but I liked it that those bad people got their just desserts.
You must
in the worst way.
All the bad guys got killed by the alligator.
Yeah, their creation.
When you think about it, Slade, the head guy, his chief scientist who's working on the whatchamacallses, the guy from the pet shop was killed off early in the movie. Who else was bad? The mayor was naughty and horrible, so he got killed off. So they should have actually decorated this alligator instead of shooting him and stuff, because he really cleaned up the area.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah. So anyway, I often think that the reason that they wanted the detective out of the way and probably worried about this alligator thing interfering with their business, because they'll find out that later on the alligator would get traced back to their business.
Yeah.
Of how it got big, how did it, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's vegetables.
Or something. It ate something that was that was laced on the actual dogs that were killed.
Well, there's still the chemicals inside them. Yeah, like if you go and fertilise a plant to grow, like a tomato or something, rather, it's taking nutrients inside it. Now, I'm not sure, but so long before they pick them, they stop fertilising them, so the nutrient stuff and the fertilisers break down a bit.
Quite right.
So they were getting these dead bodies full of chemicals, not being processed because the animal's dead, and just thrown in sewer. So all these chemicals hadn't been processed. So, this poor alligator was getting a good feed, but all these chemicals. Yes. How rude.
Yes. So anyway.
Prescription drugs? No.
Yeah. So our hero figures out that the alligators returned to the sewer area, so this gives them a little time left to try to set a detonator, and to await the alligator.
That
And-
didn't work.
Well, it did actually work. They set the
Oh, that's right,
detonator,
they did that, yes, right.
set it to probably 2 minutes, and the detective
right,
guy,
it-
tries to crawl out of the
manhole.
the manhole, but it gets blocked by another car.
Some old bat's driving the car and parks it right on top of the manhole. What
would-
luck!
Yeah, and anyway, eventually, Kendall, leading lady, goes up to the woman's car. It takes a little bit more time than we think, but she finally was able to shift the car.
Yeah.
And soon enough, David gets out of the manhole and
yeah, just it runs a couple of feet away and it goes boom. That's right. Yeah, and
just
then
only a few seconds left.
an alligator guts. No,
But we don't see alligator guts. We just hear it from the police chief that there are only pieces left of the alligator in the sewer.
Hey, can you make alligator steaks out of it? Yum yum. Have a
I
barbecue.
don't think I would even eat anything that the alligator may have eaten. And I like the part where the detectives.
Chemicals. Yeah.
And I love this bit where the detectives say, "Now you believe me," and the chief says, "What do you think I was? How can I not believe you?" All that stuff, and he says, and David says, "I think I'll lock you up with Kendall's mother."
You think she'll like him?
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know.
He says something about the mother likes that high forehead look or whatever.
Yeah, another baldy bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a film in the pet shop. There was a comment from the pet shop guy about his baldness and stuff. So yeah,
There's a lot of jokes there.
Yeah,
So
but
anyway,
probably trying to cover it up for the movie so people would say he got funny hair. They said he cuts his own hair, does this, blah blah. But the guy probably must have had an operation, was combing his hair in a particular way to cover up the operation for the movie. So he covered it well.
So anyway, as we're saying, suddenly they close the manhole cover over the sewer, and we then follow the pan over to a pipe. And there is another little baby alligator coming down.
Dropping down. Someone else has flushed a little alligator down into the sewer.
Yes.
Hinting that there might be a sequel one day.
Not necessarily.
No, I was going to say hinting that there might be a sequel one day. Leaving it open for a sequel. And there was Alligator 2. And they said
Mutilation.
Mutilation. Which is passed off as a sequel.
Mutation, was it?
Yeah, Mutation. It was passed off. So, it's a sequel. It was not a sequel. It was pretty much a rehash of the original script. Apart from the changing the names to protect the guilty, and it changed the storyline a little bit, it was just a rehash of the first movie. So it wasn't really a sequel.
Yeah, it didn't mention go back to the original movie to say there was another alligator.
If you had a sequel, say, hey, we had this problem a couple of years ago. There's nothing there. It was pretty much the same thing. A policeman that nobody wanted to work with. He was a lone wolf type guy, and his wife happened to be a scientist in this case, not his girlfriend. Yeah, they're too samey. And I'm sorry, the second movie, which we might review in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, I do think the second one's pretty cool.
Well, the second one was really straight to VHS tape. It didn't even make it to the theatre.
Yeah, but I did think it was kind of cool, especially the part where the detective in that one is a lot more confident and a bit of a street like
he's more street guy.
He's like a noir type detective who.
Okay, a film, what's it, neo noir type movie. Joseph Bologna plays the detective in the next movie, but we won't talk about him at the moment. But he plays a good role.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not knocking the actors, I'm not knocking the directors and whatever. But hey, why don't you make a new script, guys? I mean, we changed a few words here and there, but the story was exactly the same. You know, I mean, I don't expect to have the alligator driving down the road in a Harley Davidson motorcycle, but at least make it different.
But at least in this one, Mike, they put together a story to how this alligator became big.
Well, they both had stories.
No, well, the second one didn't have a.
They were dumping chemicals into the sewer.
But they didn't understand what those chemicals
They were genetically changing the little critters down there. Now, that gets me. Why did it only affect the alligator in the second movie? Why didn't you have rats the size of dogs and that sort of stuff, but
don't
only
know.
affect the alligator. So we won't do that at the moment. We'll
Maybe,
talk about
yeah.
that in a couple of weeks' time, maybe.
Maybe the
But-
alligator ate them all.
Oh, that explains it. That's what clean them up. Then. Yum yum yum. Anyway, now let's get on to production stuff then. Okay.
Yes, we shall.
Now we talked about things like it was supposed to be in Chicago, but it was actually filmed in LA. But I noticed some notes here somewhere that the police cars had something like Missouri license plates. We have a few problems with the props, obviously. What else was there I noticed? Whenever they passed a sign saying "Welcome to Missouri." Later, the voice of the newscast identifies Marissa as a native of our city, implying the location is in the city of Missouri, other than St. Louis. So there's a few things there. You got to be really pay attention to your continuity. Is that a continuity? Is it?
Yeah, it's like if you were filming Volcano in Los Angeles, which it was in the movie.
Yeah, that was good.
And-
Little Brea tar pits. Yeah,
and it
we
pretty
might
much
do
had-
that one day too. Hey, I like that movie.
Yes, it's like
Tommy
that.
Lee Jones rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you changed it to Chicago, it would less make sense.
Well, yeah, but yeah, it had the location because the La Brea tar pits was like
It was a
volcanic type area, and that area might have been volcanic a lot, before they built the towns there years ago. Yeah.
yes.
Anyway,
This movie was kind of inspired by Jaws, the 1975 movie, and like that film, that the mechanical villain often malfunctioned and everything. And
actually, speaking of mechanical, and you said Jaws. Jaws. Just for a moment, I'll take over. Was filmed. We're in Australia. Jaws was filmed in Australia down to the Great Australian Bight. Now we had Jaws, the actual mechanical guy, the big shark, was actually on something like a rail, like a railway rail, and they used him on a motor thing to come up behind the boats and whatever and go through the water. And it was really a rubber shark in most of it, apart from the close-ups. And then they had the guy in the cage in Jaws. That was a jockey to make the shark look bigger, and that was a real shark attack going on in the movie. So if you want to watch Jaws, a bit of a chill and a thrill, go and have a look at it. So I think Spielberg made, didn't he, Jaws?
Yes.
Yeah, good movie. Yeah, Stephen did a good movie. Jaws is great, but that was real shark footage, real shark attacks.
yeah, before you continue on with that,
I
Mike,
love Jaws.
I haven't finished what I was saying earlier.
sorry.
Anyway, Lewis, what's his name here?
Teague.
Teague either shot around the alligator to build suspense or shot a regular alligator on miniature sets, which
they
are
look good.
plainly obvious to the viewers, and some shots,
Well, some
do
were, but
explain a lot.
it's, we watched the Ned Wood biodrama, and he used the phrase suspension of disbelief. Sometimes you got to forget about what's happening in the background because sometimes you cannot get it 100% right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there was a
yeah.
lot of point of view shots in this. I don't know if you understand what I mean by point of view shots.
From
They're
the
like
alligator's
they take
perspective.
it from the camera's perspective and makes it look like this is the alligator's view.
Yeah,
of
what he's looking at
what he's
everybody. Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at.
yeah.
And that makes it a little bit more interesting, even if you're short of special effects.
We saw the horror movie the other night where they had that cabin one. That one with the people in the cabin. Were you watching with me? You were sure?
Not that I'm aware of.
When they went over the bridge and they stayed in the cabin.
Oh, you mean Evil Dead?
Evil Dead, yeah, Evil Dead. And they had, when they were coming in to begin with, they had a lot of perspective coming from the camera, trying to make out that some creature was stalking through the woods, but you never saw what it was.
Yeah, left it up to the imaginations of the
which
viewer.
is great. I mean, something's looking at them, someone's skulking through the woods here, and all you heard was a bit of movement, leaves rustling or whatever. It was a cameraman.
Smart. I often thought it was an awesome way of presenting your film.
Yeah, it depends. You don't have to see everything all the time, and sometimes when you make a scene up, you got to make it up with what you got. So when there's little aberrations like that, when maybe they make a little mistake on something, size, whatever, you got to just deal with it. but they do what they can of what they got.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, may mention it later. I was going to mention this later on, but when they did Evil Dead, that was actually another a family friend film project, independent
Yeah,
one.
it was.
And
Yeah.
which only had a small budget to play with.
Yeah,
Or maybe not a small budget,
no,
maybe.
well, it would have been a small budget. I mean, they got the friends stuff to keep it down. So, but yeah, it was a small budget, I would presume. But tell you what, for a friends and family sort of thing, the acting wasn't that bad in that movie.
Agreed.
We might actually do it one day too.
Might soon.
Yeah, we're not going to go for the whole lot of the movies, the whole franchise, are we?
Well, it's under our range, so maybe we'll think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked about it with Mike, and if it's going to be
If it's a long franchise,
if it's a long franchise like Saw or Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween,
we might do selected movies.
Do selective movies.
Like that one, Jason X is a good one. It's a sci-fi one. We'd probably do Jason X. But we mightn't do some of the ones before that. We might do the first one, and
they do kind of run on and on and on.
Yeah, they do get a bit samey sometimes. So
yeah, and not enough get too much of the same thing here and there.
But anyway, irrespective.
Blah
blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah. I never said blah 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 blah.
Maybe a pain you.
Sorry.
So anyway,
shut
up, you. So anyway,
hey, we can do Hotel Transylvania. Wouldn't that be great? That's it's not that. Well, that's a good. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Sorry, carry on.
So anyway, as I was saying before Mike interrupted me. So anyway, pretty much when they did that particular movie, it was kind of interesting, and it annoys me sometimes that people keep forgetting this is where independent filmmakers and the very big industry filmmakers started off at mostly.
Yeah, everyone's got the new guys, the newbies, we'll call them. They've got to start somewhere, and they don't have a big bankroll, and sometimes with a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work. It pays off. And I think it gets down to their enthusiasm and dedication. To doing a good product. I think that's what it boils down to. I mean, you don't need to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to make a really good picture. But, I mean, if you're looking at high salaries, lots of special effects you've got to pay for, a lot of set building. It's astronomical. It just goes through the roof. Some movies that have been really, really good have been shot over a few weeks or a couple of months, not over a year. It depends on what you put in to what you get out. And you can't rely on special effects all the time. Maybe a good director, some halfway decent actors in there, and a reasonably good script for them to work with. And that's the bare bones those guys used to use years ago. Didn't they?
Quite right. Yeah, it's just, so anyway, how do you should we rate this movie, or do we have anything else to add to it?
Well, I was going to say about what some of the critics said about it.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Now, I've got a list of a few things. I won't mention who they were, but typical things. It was generally got positive type reviews. Like one of them says, where are we? Suspense is frequently as genuine as its wit and its fond awareness of the cliches it uses. So they knew it was tongue-in-cheek, and they allowed for it to be light-hearted and not a serious sci-fi horror. Another one said something like intelligent and stylish. Another person said solid performances, effective effects, and spirited B-level direction. And that's what it was. It wasn't a major movie. It wasn't an A movie. It's a B movie. So basically that's the sort of stuff you got. It was a good, solid B movie. So I'm going to grade it as a good, solid B movie. Not.
It may not have been all their fault, because when you look at if they want to make it gory to the max, say, guys, you're going to find that you're going to be facing a lot of people out there who may not want it to be gory to the max.
Kiddies don't want to see that sort of stuff, do they?
Yeah, I mean,
they're
probably this sort of thing. I think I mentioned it for you guys in the past that when they did Evil Dead, the director was dragged away to face huge charges about being too over gory, even though it's not really as gory as we used to think it
Hey,
was.
here's something. I just found a negative review. This is really good. I think you'll like this. It says, the guy said, they should flush this movie down the toilet to see if it also grows into something big and fearsome. I thought it was rather witty. Oh, come on. The guy's probably a troll anyway. Who cares? But we're not trolls here. I'm not going to take the P out of this movie. I think it was a good, fun movie for what it is, a B movie type. I'm going to give it 9 easily.
Yeah, I kind of give it a 9.5.
Ooh,
out
you're
of 10.
generous tonight. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's annoying that, the critics keep on making nasty reviews here and there, but they don't realize that the directors are trying their absolute hardest to make this movie to please the masses here and there, and please themselves.
Let's go back.
And while some scenes may have get cut in some movies because they think that would either gross you guys out or either pretty much they'll anger a lot of the censor guys. Which they do. I mean, if you're not too careful, if you're a viewer out there, you're going to realize that these guys are facing huge things. That if they don't please the censors, then their movies will never be released.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about that.
People want to start somewhere. And by the way, look, I go online and I look at movies, synopsises and plots and whatever, and I watch movies. And some of these people, and I'm not knocking them, but I will use a couple of names which frequently come up, and they're often negative. Places like Rotten Tomatoes, they come up a lot in film reviews.
Yeah, they've done that.
They can be downright nasty sometimes.
Yeah, even the most awesome movies of all time have been counted on their list as rotten.
Yeah, and so if they're just saying, oh well, all these people went online and told us what they thought of the movie. Well, if everyone said it was a load of rubbish and it was a good movie, does that mean it's a load of rubbish? I mean, come on, guys. I mean, take your own stand on it as well. I mean, I'll say something like Rotten Tomatoes. This one has an 84% approval rating with an average of something or other, blah blah, based on 19 reviews. So 19 people out of several billion people liked it or didn't like it. 19 reviews ain't good.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
Get a few more.
I remember when they did
Bohemian
Rhapsody, the song I'm referring to, not the movie.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody.
They wrote nasty reviews that go, well, probably a long way back. Really nasty ones. Even though you guys probably already heard the song and laid out your own thoughts about it, thinking it's great.
Bill and Ted liked it.
Yeah.
No.
West Wayne's World.
Oh, Wayne's World. Sorry, Wayne's World. Sorry, my mistake. No, guys.
Yes, so
Wayne's World.
So
sorry.
It has made its hallmark, and it has been even after Freddie Mercury died. It made a comeback years later, and it made top marks back then too.
Yeah. Anyway, no. Some review. Look, we don't try to be trolls. We call it as we see it, and. If it's a good movie, we'll say it's a good movie. It's an average movie, we'll say it's an average movie, but we'll tell you why we think it's an average movie. We won't say, oh, it's a load of rubbish, like some people do, which I've seen some people online doing that, and I say that's not fair to the filmmakers or the actors.
Yeah, they could be pressured to try to reduce the horror to avoid any more problems.
Well, that's another point too. Yeah, depending on the market they're looking at. If you're looking at a teen market, it's not the same as a mature adult market. The mature adult might want more drama and storyline, where a teen might want more blood and guts.
Yeah, when they try to do this, the sequels to Evil Dead, they try to reduce the gore to make it more of a black comedy. And while
it doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work, and yet the censor guys still didn't rate this movie as comedy horror. They just called it horror.
I know. It's really actually, if you go on say something like Wikipedia, it'll say, oh, it's a horror movie or it's a so and so rather. Then you go on IMDb, it's got multiple things. It might say it's a comedy, horror, sci-fi, blah blah. What is it? Pick one genre.
Yeah.
Or if it's a black comedy, say it's a black comedy. Don't say it's a black comedy drama, so and so, romance. Just say it's a black comedy.
Didn't
Yeah,
there was a
yeah.
movie recently we looked at the genre that it said adventure, action, adventure.
Yeah, he had adventure written twice. I mean, you're looking what you're writing, guys. So yeah, just get your genres right. And if I want to watch a horror movie, I'm going to look for a horror movie. If it says it's a sci-fi, horror, drama, romance, I get totally confused.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah, there might be romance in it, but what is the main genre? It's either horror or sci-fi. Just say it's horror or sci-fi. It makes it easy to find a movie.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, that's about it for this podcast, guys.
Sorry about
So-
my little moan, but
Yeah, sorry for the moaning. I mean, I just have been having a lot of moaning problems.
that's moan. Sorry,
Yes.
I've had my moan.
Yes, anyway, this movie's pretty worth watching, so
I
you
think it's
should
good.
check it out and everything.
Yeah, I think it's good. 9's good for me, and yours a 9.5, eh?
Yes,
Yeah,
and please comment on this podcast, guys, because we really want to get more
yeah, a bit of
comments
feedback
about
on it.
this.
So if you're enjoying them, not enjoying them, constructive criticism is always taken. Negative criticism, just for the sake of negative criticism, don't bother. I mean, but if something is struck, say, hey, I like it, but yeah, fine, give us the but and we'll look at it. But if you say we don't like it, no, don't bother. You know, but yeah, give us some. Always welcome.
Yeah.
We want to entertain
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, even if you didn't see this movie, guys, I want you guys to open up your comments about this movie.
Go and have a look at it. See if you should be able to get it. You may be able to buy a copy. I haven't checked, but it might be.
I think we bought it on
we
DVD.
bought this one. Yeah, we bought this one on DVD, so it's probably still available through either your local retailer or through Amazon or something, or eBay, or whatever. So yeah, and the sequel. Did we get it as a dual pack?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we got it as a dual pack. Got Alligator 1 and Alligator 2 on one pack. I think. So it might come as a double DVD. Yeah, I
Yes.
think. So yeah, it's worthwhile. The first movie is better than the second movie, but the second movie we'll review later, and we'll give
Well,
you
I think
our.
the second one's pretty cool.
It's different. It takes a slightly different thing, but it's a rehash of the first movie, so it's not fresh.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if those who have
But it's still a standalone movie.
who have gone online and say it says Alligator 2 on it, why you say it's a rehash?
Some people say it's a sequel. It's not a sequel. A sequel is when it's a continuing sort of line enhancing the original story. This is a rehash of the original story.
Yes. So
So it's not really a sequel.
yes. So
Anyway.
listen to us, viewers and
We
listeners.
will not lead you astray intentionally.
No.
We might make a mistake occasionally, but we try not to.
Yes. So thanks for listening to this podcast, guys.
Yeah.
So this is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael Stephenson.
wishing you a happy lockdown.
Well, actually, it's almost getting over the lockdown. Depending what country and what city you're in, whatever. A lot of this virus stuff is getting under control. So, hopefully, some areas in some parts of
Yeah.
the world
So-
aren't quite as bad now.
Yeah, so if you guys are in a very strict area at the moment, try to remember that
stick in there, guys.
hold it all together and
Hold
try
together. It'll soon be over, but some areas are worse than others, which is unfortunate.
so hold it together, guys. It would be great to see if you guys will continue following us in our podcast.
Yeah, but please comment.
Yes. So thanks for listening, guys. See you around.
Bye.